Time Productions. This is Trap Card, a weekly. Actually, it's not even weekly anymore. At this point, we're just doing two bi-weekly shows where we debate topics that are going on right now in the group. And the whole goal is to try to come to a conclusion or resolution on who will win or who will be the victorious person on each debate. As always, I have my co-host, Stardagger.
Yes, sir.
Flippalo, the life giver.
One and the same.
Durf Mode himself.
Yo, what up?
Mr. C Diggity, aka No Chill.
It's your boy Smurr.
The most cynical of the AJs.
Happy birthday, Mom.
And of course, the debate god himself, Will Tesla.
What up, what up, what up?
We have a really interesting debate today. I'm actually going to be participating in this debate, so I will turn it over to our moderator for today and co-host Stardagger.
Alright, today, we about to get it the fuck popping. Alright, so our debate today is Lelouch versus Light Yagami. It is located in Japan, and the circumstances are the Britannians have taken over Japan. So Lelouch has already assumed that Zero Disguise has the Geass and still has the same goal of ruling the world and killing his father. He does not have access to C2, Rolo, his mech, nor the Black Knights. Light Yagami has already assumed the Kira identity, is using the Death Note, and still has the same goal to rule the world as God. He does not have access to Ryuko, Misa, or the cops trying to locate Kira. Has turned his sights on Zero and the Black Knight Rebellion, as they are currently the world's most wanted criminals. So, Light is focusing on Zero and the Black Knights because they are the world's most wanted criminals currently. Kira makes a public demand that Zero and the Knights stop, or else he'll begin killing them, and Zero, unwilling to relent, must locate and kill Kira first. This isn't a traditional fight. It's a battle of wits to see who would outsmart the other and defeat the other person. This can be done through the three following ways: death, incapacitation, and mobilization. As always, no outside help, no prior knowledge. Location will be in Japan. Light will have access to the Death Note, but no other resources. Lelouch will have his Geass, but no other resources. Who will locate who first? Who's going for Team 1?
So first, before we get into the actual debate, let's go ahead and give a little background on these characters. Will, you want to go ahead and give the background on Lelouch?
Sure, why not? Lelouch is a very interesting character, to say the least. We have the Banished Prince. Pretty much what Lelouch's goal is, he wants to create a better world for his crippled sister Nunnally, and he also wants to find his mother's killer. So, the way he does this is pretty much he recruits the Black Knights and he challenges the Holy Britannian Empire. Throughout the series, he constantly uses tactics and battle wits to outsmart the Britannian Empire, and he eventually succeeds in his goal.
All right, Team Light, you want to submit a representative to go ahead and give a little background on Light?
Shit, I'll go. Forget about it. Alright, we ready? Light Yagami, a young man who tries to make a world a better place with the Death Note. He's combining his innate intelligence with the power of the Shinigami. He secretly tries to take over the world as Kira, the most evil man ever. And he tries to become a new god. And he outsmarts everybody in doing that.
Alright, so with the brief intro of the characters, we're going to get this debate started. Team Lelouch won the coin toss, and they voted for Team Light to go first. So Team Light, shoot up on you. Let's go.
Alright, I guess I'm starting it then. Light Yagami, also known as Kira, could be debatably the smartest man on Earth. He outsmarted world's greatest detective, L. And then, not only that, outsmarted the rest of the world by making them all think he was L. and he also played the part of Kira and L simultaneously, and all this came out of sheer boredom, and he decided that he wanted to make the world a better place, but in doing that, ended up becoming a real evil guy by trying to get that goal. And I think that he's just going to outsmart anything that Lelouch has to throw at him. I think he's just too cunning. He's too socially aware of everything, and he's too creative. I just think he's just untouchable in the mind department. I think he's just too smart, and I think he'll outsmart anybody.
All right, cool beans. We're up. Team Lelouch is up next. Let's go.
All right. Now, I want everybody to take note. Throughout the entire Code Geass series, Lelouch has constantly showed the ability to adapt. He has in-battle strategies, and when those strategies fall short, he easily creates a new plan on the fly. Unlike Light, where he kind of just folds once his initial plan fails, as we saw when L introduced himself at the ceremony, as we saw when L took Misa's phone. Light has never really shown the ability to adapt on the fly. He kind of always just folds when his initial plan fails. I also want to point out the two forces that they was fighting. Light was fighting a police force. Lelouch was fighting a nation. Just let that sink in for 1 second. I also want to point out that Lelouch's powers didn't come with an instruction manual. He had to figure everything out on his own, whereas everything was kind of already set up for Light, and all he had to do was pretty much read and just do what he does. So, in short, I think Lelouch is going to beat Light because he can adapt better. Light also showed that he has trouble with people who can read his moves and guess his next move, like we seen L put pressure on him throughout the entire series. And Light also kind of gets lucky if, we didn't notice. He got lucky with the detective when it started snowing and the cop didn't spot him. He actually messed up when he tried to kill the detective who was following him, and he almost got caught. So in this particular situation, I don't think Light is going to get lucky, and Lelouch is going to catch him, and he's going to kill him.
All right. Nice opening, fellas. We're going to move on to round 2 here. And Team Light, you're up.
All right, in terms of Light being unable to adapt on the fly, bullshit. He almost got caught by, I don't know, what's her name? Naomi Masura or whatever, supposedly. But in reality, not really. Like, she was like, they met or whatever. And she just had a feeling that Kira had something to do with her husband's death or whatever like that. But he never really, was in danger of being caught. Like, Kira has always been his alter ego or whatever, his fucking alias. So, Light himself being discovered really only ever happened by L, who is, essentially the world's greatest detective. But even then, he couldn't prove it, so he couldn't use the information. Lelouch would have no means of knowing who Light was at all. And the Geass would not be able to fucking work unless he can make eye contact with Light, and when would that ever be, a situation? All Light needs to do is discover his face and name, which is hard to do, but, it's more probable than Lelouch, out of all of Japan, fucking finding out that Light Yagami is actually Kira. Light could conceivably fuck around and check public records for the Britannia, since they're also threats to Japan, so he'd be focused on them as well. The Black Knights might be number 1, but the Britannia is overtaking Japan as a hostile fucking takeover, so he would be looking into them as well. And he would discover Lelouch's true name by accident, you know what I'm saying? But it would take some time for him to put the pieces together. But Light is a genius. Lelouch is a tactical genius, but as far as being a detective or something like that, he's never had to do anything like that. So Light has the upper hand in that regard. Light really carefully planned out all his shit fucking from beginning to end, and really only started fucking up right when he was cornered at the end of the series and shit like that. Lelouch had to get bailed out by fucking CC fucking multiple fucking times and shit, and multiple people have survived being like in front of him when he had the Geass and shit like that,
Time.
like fucking mouth and shit.
Time.
Yeah.
Time.
Bitch.
All right, we got Team Lelouch up next. Let's go.
All right,
Second
all
round.
right. So there's a couple of things that I need to get out the way. So one, the idea that Light is the smartest person in his own universe is false. We see that L was able to not only deduce the fact that he was Kira, he was also able to deduce the fact that fucking Misa was the second Kira, which he was both correct. The only reason that he wasn't able to initially capture them and initially go ahead and, throw them in jail is because of the fact that he had the lack of evidence to support any supernatural entities that were involved. That being said, that whole idea that Light is necessarily the smartest, that cannot be true at all. Second, we see that Lelouch faked his own death. He was listed as being dead in the Britannia Empire's records. So to even say that the idea that Lelouch Lampier is not his real name, that is something that Light cannot do because Lelouch v. Britannia is already dead. So, with that being said, that you have the fact that Lelouch is able to not only be able to use his Geass on multiple people at the same time, but he can also use it in many different ways. We see him use it via mirror. He is able to present himself as Lelouch Lampier to Light fairly easily just by saying hello and just say my name is Lelouch Lampier, and there's nothing that he'd be able to do. Light's ultimate downfall is that he did not have the Yagami eyes. He would not be able to see the real name of Lelouch and be able to go ahead and get his real name and be able to go ahead and identify his face. Lelouch is also able to have mastered deduction. He was able to deduce Mal's power of telepathy. He was able to deduce that Suzuka had fucking great reflexes and be able to use it to his own benefit.
Time. All right, heating up in this bitch.
Twan, that was terrible.
Don't be hating.
That was good.
We got the final round coming through here. Team Light, you up to bat. Let's go.
All right, so here's what I've been hearing a lot of is the fact that people keep saying that, Light was not the smartest man in the universe, etc. and so forth. That L really was the greatest detective and probably the world's biggest genius, respectively. Still got outsmarted by Light, because he still won that battle, even though it was kind of weighed in his favor with his power and all that. Still was able to throw him off. But he did figure out that there was definitely two Kiras out there, so I mean, props to him. But one thing I haven't been hearing is how is Lelouch going to find out who Kira is? Because Light will be a college student, and if I'm not mistaken, Lelouch wasn't all that big into school. In fact, he was very he's too damn smart for school, much like Light, and he often just didn't give two shits about school. So if Light, which he did this pretty well in his own school, he just kind of blended in with the rest of the student body, so he never stuck out, which I think is going to really benefit him. He'll be able to attack guerrilla warfare style. So let's also say this, that Light is also extremely manipulative. He could probably talk somebody into possibly joining the Black Knights, and from there he can also manipulate how they die by writing the notes, writing out different notes before they die, just like he did to L to throw L off before he died. Also, Light has a memory control. Light has memory control. Hey, fuck you, homie.
All right, we at that bottom of the third right now. Team Lelouch, you up? Let's go.
So, a couple things.
Louch.
One, the first thing is, the way Lelouch will win this battle is that he will utilize the information that's already available about Kira. Kira's doings are of public record, and that information is held within Japanese police enforcement. So he will tap into that as he's tapped into multiple resources around the world, and that's been shown many times throughout Code Geass. The other thing is, just like L did, L was able to deduce that Light was Kira, so that's been stated. But the other thing was the way that Light reacted to that, and the fact that he was unable to kill L even with the knowledge of knowing that he could possibly be L. So Lelouch can actually present himself and expose himself as Lelouch Lampreach to Kira. But once he figures it out, if he deduces the same thing that L deduced, then he can just go ahead and use the Geass at that point. Because Light was working in tandem with the police. So it wouldn't take long for Lelouch to deduce that he is, in fact, Kira. Or even if he just has a hunch. On multiple occasions, we've seen Lelouch work on his hunches and then put forth a test to see if it was or wasn't true. And then once he did that, he used his Geass on those individuals. So if he wanted to get that information, just like he did with Callan, he said, I need to know if you were the person who was driving that mech the previous night, and he used his Geass and forced her to tell on herself, essentially. The other thing is that we've been going around about whether this person can or cannot locate him using like I said before, the resources that the Japanese have.
All right, that is the end of the 3-round debate. We're gonna leave this in the hands of our viewers, correct? Let them decide who has won this battle. Was it Team Light?
Yes.
Or
Nope.
was it Team Lelouch?
Most definitely.
Hell yeah.
Definitely not.
Nigga, y'all can't vote for yourself. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, at the end of the day, let's go into our post discussion. So one thing I wanted to bring up is that Light has absolutely no way of discovering Lelouch's actual identity. Like he has no like Will said earlier, or Twan said, I'm not sure who stated it, but he faked his death, and because of that, the person that the world knows as Zero, and they don't even know at this point, this is Lelouch. He goes by Lelouch Lampreach. That's what his record, his name of record is at school. That's what his name of record is in the sector that he lives in of the 11s of Japan. So I don't know how you guys would propose that he could even deduce that.
Okay, so how about, we already said that the Britannians are they trying, we said that they're trying to conquer Japan, is that correct?
They already conquered it in this scenario.
Okay, so in this scenario, then I think Light would eventually do some research and find, Light isn't one to believe in sheer coincidence. I mean, so when if he ever saw what Lelouch v. Britannia looked like, he would immediately deduce, he wouldn't immediately deduce anything, but he would probably go down the list and just start killing off Britannians.
But how would he do that if there was nothing, there was actually no pictures. Euphemia was the only one that had a personal picture of Lelouch. Nobody else, there was no other picture. There was a whole hall of portraits of the fucking Britannians. There was no way to even say that he was even alive if that was the case.
And then you gotta remember Lelouch, the last picture of him, he was a kid. He was practically 5 or 6. There's no way Light would be able to say, oh, this is how he looks now when he's grown up. It's just no way.
No, it's not impossible for him to fucking deduce that shit.
It's improbable, son.
It's improbable, but not impossible. Also, you gotta consider how many fucking Lelouches are gonna be out there in the fucking world, right?
But there's no record of
There's
Lelouch,
no record of what?
Lelouch v. Britannia.
There's no record? No.
There's no record of him.
The record shows that he died. Nigga, what you mean there's no record?
Bruh, he died when he was
but
6.
then why
What else
would
do you have?
why
I'm
would
saying
Light?
he died, but no, he's a Britannia that fucking existed. Nigga, Light would look into that shit. Is all I'm saying. That nigga.
Nah,
detecting skills,
Light's not gonna look at
godlike.
dead people though. Why would he look
Why
at
would
dead
he?
people?
Because
Why
regularly?
would he not? Because
Also-
how can you just? You can't definitively say that, dog. You can't just say he's not gonna fucking look into this shit.
Alright,
The nigga's
so
fucking
let's-
trying
I'm
to
saying this
discover.
based on what he's done. At what point has Light had any course of action that led him to? Well, first of all, two things. One, you're assuming that one, Light will be able to deduce that Lelouch is zero. So that's the first thing. That's the first hurdle you have to overcome. He has to be able to deduce that he is zero. And
He does have to do that. That's
yeah,
true.
but I'm saying that like then you have to go to the secondary piece of then he has to put together that all right, Lelouch Lampreach, just like he did with L when L exposed himself to Light, when he revealed his identity to him, he said, okay, what can I do here? I can try to write his name in a death note, but then that will undoubtedly convince people that I am the killer, that I am Kira, and I will get caught. So he couldn't do that. This is the same type of power move. I'm saying
Lelouch is not as smart or as fucking great at fucking
That's
catching
true.
criminals as motherfucking L.
Lelouch
Lelouch
was
is
able
smarter
to.
than
Lelouch was able to.
Get the
Lelouch was.
fuck outta here,
How about this?
bro.
Lelouch is smarter
How
than
about
L,
this?
bro.
Lelouch
No,
was
Lelouch
able
is
to-
smarter than L.
All right, one
and
at a
Light.
time, one at a time, one at a
All
time.
right, so Lelouch was able. Let's think about this, right? Lelouch was able to deduce that somebody had telepathy. So Lelouch was able to deduce that about Cece's actual power and her involvement in the fucking world of Geass. He was able to deduce his old father's power, who was basically who has the power to do whatever the fuck he wanted. Like, I'm just saying, you have to think
What are you
about.
saying to do? Like, what are you talking
He was
about?
able to
what
deduce these.
detecting did he have to do?
He was
What
able to
fucking
deduce
research
it.
did he have
No,
to
no,
do?
it doesn't matter about that. He has
What brain power
That's
did
the
he
same
have to do?
thing.
I don't
That's
understand
the
what
same
you're
thing. Like think about like Sherlock. Sherlock is able to look at a whole fucking scene of crime and tell you exactly what it did. Lelouch was able to do the same fucking thing because he was able to do it on the fly. Lelouch was also able to go ahead and use Suzuka and know that he has Suzuka's fucking reflexes were fucking godlike and be able to save his sister. He was able to use all these powers of deduction to be able to self and others. What are you talking about?
Okay, Antoine, but think about this. L was able to figure out that Kira was an actual, like, not just some poser on the internet. He was actually able to bait out Light and is able to actually deduce that there was two Kiras
Well, hold on.
without any evidence, without
Chill, why
any
you
real
cutting him
hard
off?
evidence.
Why you cutting him off while he's trying to?
What?
give a
Without
sound
any
point?
really hard evidence, dude. He was able to deduce that. He was able to look at the patterns and this and that. This guy had no evidence. He had nothing to go off on and was still able to crack down who is Kira and who is Kira's hoe.
All right,
So
let's be.
L-
Okay, so
Hold on.
L-
I have
L-
I have a
Let-
rebuttal
let-
when
let
he's
Clint-
done. I have a
Yeah,
rebuttal
let
when
Clint
he's done.
finish.
Just sidebar. L is the king of prep time. He fuck Batman.
All right, so I'm gonna let Will. Let Will go, and then I got something I need to say too. Will, go
Hurry
ahead.
up.
All right, let's just be clear. Everybody knew about Kira's existence. L wasn't the only one who knew about it. Before L even introduced himself, Light's father already said that all of the heart attacks couldn't be coincidental. So it's not hard to figure out a such thing as Kira exists. So let's just throw that out there.
Okay. Did anybody
No, but-
besides L discover that at the time of L?
Yes, the whole
Yes,
Japanese
I just
police
told you, the
enforcement.
whole police force knew about it already.
The whole police
Now,
force knew that Light Yagami was fucking Kira.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just, you gotta remember.
He said the existence of Kira. That's what he just was
Right,
referencing.
but in this scenario, fucking Kira's already a public figure.
Listen, you're not listening to what I'm saying. Now listen.
Not me, because I'm corny.
Yeah, you let me finish my point. Now listen. L was able to narrow down the suspects because he knew that whoever Kira was, he had inside information of police. Why? Because he was killing criminals that didn't appear on the news. You gonna tell me Lelouch is not smart enough to figure out that same thing? The difference between L and Lelouch is gonna kill him. He's dark, just like Light. Like, he's not trying to do everything, goody two shoes. He's not trying to catch him. He's trying to kill him. All he has to do is, once he narrows down those suspects, Light, Yagami, this person, all of these people could be Kira. He's gonna give a Geass command and have all of them killed, and that's gonna be the end of it.
Here's the other thing too. So on three different, and this is to dispute any facts of people thinking that L is smarter than Lelouch or Light for that matter. But on three different occasions, Lelouch has been able to predict the circumstances down to the very T, that he was able to record himself, his own voice, and predict how people would even respond to him. Meaning that, like, he predicted how the entire flow of the conversation was going to go. And not only did that, he did the same thing in battle. He predicted how a person would react in battle. He predicted how a person would react outside of battle. Like, there was no way we were saying that L being able to deduce that that Light was Kira is a greater feat than Lelouch saying, all right, I'm going to predict that you're going to say these exact things, pre-record myself, and then play that recording later on. And then,
But
That was
how
a
is he-
ridiculous feat, and that was
No.
overlooked.
So
It
first off,
is
you
a
know,
ridiculous-
I'm about to say, I can predict niggas in battle on motherfucking video games right now, nigga. The fuck
you can't
talking
predict what
about?
I'm going to say. I'm saying, like, you can't predict an entire conversation and
I can
pre-record
predict that
yourself.
at some point in our next 5 conversations, the word truesies will be uttered.
Son. Alright, so here's another thing that people I think that people are overlooking. Light never killed L. Like Light basically he had an outside source to be able to kill it, and it was based on the fact that Misa was gonna die. It was like that's not even in his own tip of the cap to him.
Well, then why can't Light use somebody like he used?
Because the thing is that in this battle there is no outside source. So the thing is that in that case he still was not able to do it himself. He never all his feats were not of his own doing. It was based on the fact that he had another entity along with him. Along with the fact that, like I said, Misa was going to die, and that's what ended up happening with where Elle ended up dying from. What was her name? Rem. Rem ended up writing his name because she has Shigagami eyes.
Agreed.
There was no way. We don't even know L's real fucking name. That is still that's actually one of the biggest mysteries of fucking Death Note. So the fact is that he even was able to say, well, I'm going to die.
Did Light have a direct
and he was
fucking
able
cause
to go
to
ahead
the
and
nigga
have 2 other people. And he was able to have 2 other people to be able to deduce the fact that he was fucking Kira. The fact is that it's still at the end of the day he got caught.
How? Let me. One thing I still haven't heard an answer for yet is how is Lelouch going to make contact with Kira? Is he going to
Fairly
smoke him
easily.
out?
I said that during the debate.
Whoa.
I said that during the debate, Clint. I said it during my round. The first thing I opened with was that he would use the police force the same way that L did to discover.
How is that not outside help or whatever?
That's not outside help. We're talking about in this scenario. How will he discover Light in Japan?
How many secret identities did Lelouch discover?
He learned C2's name.
When was that shown in the series at all?
That was shown at the end of the series.
When he said her name to her, and she fell down on her knees because nobody had ever said her name before.
All Lelouch has to do, if in case you forgot, Lelouch had control over the media at one point, and he had a news anchor on his side. All he has to do is Geass a news anchor and show a criminal challenging Kira in one section of Japan at a time. Once that criminal dies, he knows where Light location is. The same way L found him, he used the criminal as bait. After that fact, he can go to the local police station once he deduces the fact that Kira has inside police information. Once he sees where...
Right, go ahead. And then I'm gonna
Once he sees which police station Light is getting his information from, he can hone in on each person until he finds Light. It's really not that hard. The same way L made contact with him.
That was a good debate. We got our points out and we got our secondary points out. So now it's up to the fans. Who do y'all think won?
True.
Team Light? Team Lelouch?
Reach.
Team Reach or Team Light?
Later, bitches.
And that right there, fans, is our debate for today. Pauly, do you do anything else outside of that?
Yeah.
So whatever.
So, great debate, fellas. Let's go ahead and just wrap this up. Basically, please, show some support by giving us a share, a like, a comment down below. These things kind of help us out as we're trying to progress and become better. If you didn't like this, give us that feedback too. We still want to hear from you one way or the other as to what we can do to improve what we're trying to accomplish here. So we would greatly appreciate that. The other thing is, as always, you can join our Facebook group, our Twitter, go like our Facebook page. All of these things are Prep Time Debate or Prep Time Productions, one or the other. And please show some support by visiting us on cafepress.com/preptime shop. We sell t-shirts there and other merchandise that you can kind of help support the mission and what we're trying to do. So we greatly appreciate it. Be looking forward to our next video, which will drop in 2 weeks from this time. So we'll get at you guys next time. 1.